Hey there, everybody. Z here coming at you live to the Power of the Program and SEO channel. In today's video, we are not going to be going as in-depth as we did yesterday. In fact, today is going to be a really rapid, really quick, really just pump that out and go kind of video. So we are going to cover the front end, but before that, I want to bring up plugins. Plugins and the media tab. So plugins are briefly covered in yesterday's video, but in essence, what a plugin is like a Lego that makes other Legos do cool things. If you aren't a programmer, if you don't know how to code and you don't want to learn how to code and it's really difficult and it's confusing and it looks like gibberish and Greek to you, don't worry. There's a lot of people like that. And one of the things that developers do that are cool is we create these things called plugins. So let's say, for example, I want to build 10 websites. And I want each of these websites to do the exact same thing, to capture a specific piece of information that the client or the user can put in, process it, and again give an output. Well, I would, as a developer, create a plugin, and then I would deploy it across all 10 of these websites. I'd make sure that it works using the base code of a WordPress website, and I would just deploy it. And it worked fine on all 10 websites, right? Plugins with WordPress are basically like these little adjustments. You download them, you install them, and they run and they do exactly what it is that you want them to do, so long as they're made correctly. If you have too many plugins, on the other hand, it's like piling a bunch of Legos on top of each other that are different colors, and eventually something is going to break or something is going to fall over. And that's kind of like what happens with plugins. Plugins are incredibly powerful, but they overlap sometimes, and they can cause conflict. This conflict can break certain aspects of your website, break a theme, break everything in some cases. So it's very important to understand that while templates or plugins are very, very powerful, it's very important that you don't abuse that power. Moving on to the actual front end, where we want to spend most of our time today, Bob's World has this design right now. Now, this is just the basic WordPress template. There's absolutely nothing here. That's fine. If you're just creating something with local, this is what you're always going to get, or something along these lines. There's no images, there's no videos, there's barely any pages. It's just something that was uploaded so that there's something there. Now, a website in its structure comes in several forms, right? Most of the time, websites are built, or almost all the time, websites are built in HTML, hypertext markup language, along with CSS, which is cascading sheet style. Basically, the HTML is what gives the website the body, right? It's the skeleton of the website. It is where you determine things like, okay, this is where the header starts. This is where the header ends. This is where the body starts. And this is where the body ends. This is where the sections within the body are. It basically outlines the structure of the website. All right. While CSS is basically like the skin, it gives everything the beauty, the font, the color, the everything else, right? And then finally, you get a programming language like JavaScript or C Sharp that basically gives its functionality, right? So, in essence, that is a website on a deep level. But in terms of development terms, we care about the header, the body, and the footer. All right, and if I pull up this here, WordPress has an excellent little thing here where it shows us what the header is, which is this up here, and what the footer is. If we go down here, right, that's the footer. In essence, sorry about that. In essence, the header is basically the head of the body. It is the navigation. It allows you to see everything. It allows you to hear everything. It is basically going to take you where you want to be on the website. Usually on the header, there's the menu. There is maybe some social icons, maybe a logo, maybe an image on certain websites. So that's fallen out of favor. It's basically there to show you around the website. While the footer functions almost identically, except it's more about navigation. It's only going to take you to specific places, provide you specific information, and to communicate with you. It's not there to be anything fancy. The body, however, is very much the fancy part. It is where you put on the suit and the tie or the dress. It is where all of your content is going to lie. It is where your pages are going to be. It is where the majority of the content on your pages, will be. It is where your posts will be. It is where your images, your media, your fancy footwork, everything is going to be in the body of the website. Okay. And it's very important that you start getting into that mindset of, okay, this is the header, this is the footer, and this is the body. It's not super important because you don't really realize it while you're working through everything, but it is a great way to think about it in the fact that the head is what people will see first. The header is what people will see first. The footer is what people will see last or notice last. And a good footer is never noticed. But the body, the clothes that you're wearing, the basic appearance of your website is the majority of its mass. And this is where a lot of the appearance will come from. So for example, this website here, you'll see there's nothing on the sides here after the blue highlights, right? This is because the website's design is not stretched across the entirety of the page. It is simply in the center here. It's got a predefined space, okay? Some websites go all across, some do this. It really depends on the purpose and atmosphere and design that you're trying to meet. All right. So after today's lesson, I want you to go about and see, basically just grab a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, and just sketch out what you want the structure of your website to be in terms of header and footer and body. All right. All you need to do is just create one block at the top and title menus and some things up there. One block, one bigger block in the center, and just title what it is you want to be on that. We're going to call that the home page. And then right at the bottom, we're going to have the footer, all right? And in this footer, you are going to put things like, locations and menu and mini menu, right? Tomorrow, we will actually be going into this and installing a pre-built website on our website, and then going into the more details and nuances of structures, colors, designs, the hierarchy of H1, H2, H3, H4, all of that. We're going to go into all of that in more detail tomorrow. Finally, before we end off, I wanted to just come to the media page over here. Now, this is just an image I've uploaded because I thought it looked pretty. This was generated by Stable Diffusion, I believe. And if you come up here, you will see just some basic information. When it was uploaded, who uploaded it, the name of the image type, the file size, and the dimensions. All right, and we'll go into this when we go into the size of websites and all of that. But in essence, the amount of space you have on the website determines on what kind of hosting you're having and what kind of server you've got. For some people, 5 gigabytes is more than enough. For some people, 500 gigabytes is not enough. It all depends on what it is you're trying to do. The alternative text is an incredibly important part of this process as well. This is basically where you're going to describe the image. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This helps Google see what this image actually is. For example, if this was an image of a boy and his dog, I would title it "A Boy and His White Dog." Right? That is basically what the alt tag or alt text basically is. I'll give it a title, a different title. For example, Boy Dog 1. Right? Just something so that when we're searching for something, we can find it quite quickly. We can give it a caption. Basically, a caption is what's going to appear basically at the bottom of the image or the side of the image if it is used. A description, which is definitely good to have. And then you'll see at the bottom we can view attachments, edit more details, and file download, file delete. That is basically the makeup of images. PDFs are a little bit different, but basically anything that's going to go onto your website in terms of media, anything that's not a text file, and even some text files, are going to end up in your media library. Don't worry about it too much. I know I've spoken for far longer than I should have. Just wanted to give you guys that little bit of information before we get super into things. So, like I said, homework, draw 3 boxes or 3 rectangles, one small one at the top, a bigger one in the middle, smaller one at the bottom. Title the top one header and what kind of menus you want to have in there. Title the center one body and just put in main menu and just write some text there. And finally at the bottom, put in footer. And finally, just put in some menu icons there. All right, some social icons there. Tomorrow, I'll show you why we're doing that. But for today, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying this. And I will see you all tomorrow.